Welcome back to Parenting in His Image. I am Dr. Kathy Tadros, child and adolescent psychiatrist, and today we're going to talk about the childhood years. We're going to start with early childhood, ages 3 to 5, so I'm excited that you're with me today. Let's dig right in. So this is a stage that Erik Erikson would call taking initiative versus feeling guilt. What does that mean? First, let's talk about cooperative play. Cooperative play is such an important part of a child's development. This is a time where they're playing with other kids, learning to share, whether it's their sibling or friends, school, Sunday school. So cooperation and learning to share is such an important part of their psychological and physical and social development. This is a great opportunity that we can take advantage of in our classes, whether at church or in school, and teaching kids how to play together and how to play nice. This is also a stage where we start to collect magical thinking. What is magical thinking? Sometimes in our culture we call that hased, the evil eye. But magical thinking to a child can be, if I think about something and it happens, I had the power to make that happen. This can be a problem if they are angry with someone and they get hurt, or God forbid, they die. They can start to think that maybe their thought or their anger provoked that person's death or provoked this action to happen. And sometimes it happens in a practically fine, normal way, in an exciting way as well. But this magical thinking is part of a normal development and phenomenon. This is also a time where they engage in sexual play. They are learning about their body, their parts, and in every way. Instead of the shame and doubt and fear and our own embarrassment and maybe some cultural views of it's better not to talk about it, we need to learn to protect our children. I cannot stress the importance enough about taking early steps early on, and it doesn't have to be in great detail, but each stage with its own flexibility and reasoning to teach your child the importance of safety. Teach them about their body, that it's not something to be ashamed of, but it is something for them to protect. It's valuable, that they are in control, that they have the ability to say no to a hug if it makes them feel uncomfortable. Sometimes that's from the Holy Spirit that's telling them this isn't a safe person. Don't force them to hug people or adults especially that they're not comfortable with. Sometimes they have a protective innate sense that's God-given. Teach them about ways to tell you if somebody makes them uncomfortable. Do not shame them. Do not tell them, no, Uncle so-and-so is the best uncle in the world. He definitely didn't mean that. You must have misunderstood. That becomes very invalidating, and then they start to quiet their inner thoughts and experiences and question their own reality, and later it gives them more risk for other people to take advantage of. As parents, it is our role to protect our child and give them all the resources to protect themselves when we're not around. But it is important that we are supportive and understanding and approachable when they do come with questions and concerns. So it's never too early to start educating our children, and we can take advantage of bath times and just teaching them that only mommy or daddy during bath time can help you in this area. Only the doctor during doctor's visits can do this. No one else is allowed, and it's so important. I can't stress that enough. Let's talk about the next stage, where it's school age, about 7 to 11 years old, or 5 to 11 years old. This is a stage where they are learning to respond to the demands at school, in their society. They're starting to compete with their peers. They are starting to have complex movements. They're now not running awkwardly like they were in these younger years with one hand still and one hand moving up. They are now fully moving, fully developed, good muscle strength, good motor skills. So this is a great time to incorporate sports into their life. It's healthy for them, and it's important to learn great lessons through sports that's sometimes not taught in a textbook or in a conversation. So this is also a great time for sports ministry. This is a time where they prefer the same-sex friends. So girls like to play with girls, and boys prefer to play with boys. Everyone's got the cooties, and nobody wants to play together. So this can make your Sunday school classes challenging. It could make life at home challenging if you have a son and a daughter. But it's also a great time to help them understand how to work together cooperatively. This is a stage where they develop a moral sense. They have a conscience. It is being used. They're evaluating right from wrong, and they're ultimately trying to do the right thing and choose the right way. They do prefer to start having relationships with adults other than their parents at this stage. So this is a great way that we can really utilize the servants around us and peer mentors around us to big brother, big sister guide them. They start to have a lot of logic. They can start to be more industrious and organized, and so this becomes a time where they're learning a lot of mathematics, a lot of amazing skills at school, and we're building and building on those things, which you can incorporate into your lessons at home and in Sunday school. I'd like to take a moment and just share a story with you that happened and happens quite often, and we don't talk about it. Going back to pushing our children to say hi against their wishes to people they don't feel comfortable with. Well, I'm going to tell you a story about a 15-year-old girl who confided in me something that happened to her as a child. About 7 years old, she was forced to say hi to Uncle X. And she was forced to give him a hug, and she didn't like to stand near him. She didn't like to hug him, and she certainly didn't even want to give him a high five. And her mother couldn't understand why, and she would say, shame her about it. This is wrong. Don't embarrass him. You need to say hi to him. He's the best in the world. Several years later, because she could not expose this uncle to her mom, who thought the world of this particular man, who was a family member as well, and everyone thought the best of him. She kept this to herself and later informed her mom and later informed us as servants that this had been happening to her all along. And so when we shame our children, when we don't give them the resources to protect themselves, and when we don't give them the opportunities and the doors to let us know these things are happening with them, sometimes it's the ones we trust the most, the ones we give access to, our kids, and the ones that we'd never imagine possible are the ones who are taking advantage of our children. Let's protect our children. Let's be their biggest advocates. Let's be their biggest cheerleaders, and the ones who are in their corner. And always, always, no matter how reputable the person may be, listen to your child. And if they're uncomfortable, don't force them, and say, it's okay. You don't have to hug them that day. And ask them why afterwards. It's important to ask them why they make them feel uncomfortable. Sometimes they feel that uncomfortable before something happens, and it can be very prevented. Thank you for joining me today. Next time, we'll talk more about teenagers and the age of adolescence. Thank you.